Welcome YouTube, I'm Tatu and this is a discussion about the timeline/character age problem of League, and why you really shouldn't state when an event exactly happens in your fictional universe. League lore YouTuber Necrits made a video about the ages of champions recently, and a lot of it felt very off to me, despite his very detailed research. It's a great video, the problems obviously come from Riot, not him. You should check it out if you haven't before watching this video. We should start this by talking about anime. Well, more specifically about One Piece, the king of world building. One Piece is over 1000 chapters and basically the same amount of episodes because Toei Animation is an interesting company. It's been running since July 22nd, 1997. It's 2 years older than me actually, but it only has one proper time skip in its entirety, between chapter 597 and chapter 598. 2 years pass and those 2 years are treated extremely importantly by One Piece. 2 years is a lot of time, so despite the main characters not actually doing much, the world goes through numerous changes. The fleet admiral retires, 2 admirals fight for 10 days to get the position. Okiji, after losing the fight along one of his legs, retires. 2 new admirals join the Marines. Buggy, Law, and Vivo take up the warlord spots that opened up. Blackbeard takes over most of the old Whitebeard territories. Jinbei joins the Big Mom Pirates and Fishman Island becomes one of her territories. The whole payback war happens, and most importantly, most characters get a redesign, reflecting the fact that time did pass. The fact that time affects everything in the world and not just the specific people you are writing about is always represented in One Piece, while League lore tends to just pause people at random points. Grand General Jericho Swain killed Emperor Borum Darkfield in 989. There are tons of things he did between the start of the Noxian invasion of Ionia in 984 and a bit after taking Noxus over. Then he kinda just stopped doing anything relevant for 9 whole years. This is not really a problem for characters with long or limitless lifespans. That's why in 40k, 99% of the relevant characters live for way longer than a normal human. A lot of characters like Vladimir can just wait for a few hundred years in League lore as well, but for a mortal character, time is very limited. That's what felt to me so off about Necrits' video. The characters that look and act like teenagers or young adults are around 30 years old, because the timeline have moved on. The 2 years time skip in One Piece made the characters look significantly older, or at least changed their appearance in a noticeable way. Now I have to ask, how does Talia, the teenage character of League, look and act like a teenager for a decade straight? She was a teenager during the invasion. Let's generously say that she was 14 at the end of the invasion, and that would make her 23 years old now. College graduate age. And that's now in 998. What about 1012? She would be in her mid-30s, but her image would stay as a teenager, cause that's what most people recognize as Talia. I don't want to be disingenuous, so I have to state that there was a visual update for a champion once that was based on how he changed in lore. I'm talking about Gangplank and his missing arm. After misfortune killed him during the Burning Tides, she thought she did anyways, he lost an arm and he had to replace it with a prosthetic. Sadly, Riot's reworking speed is painfully slow, so this is just not a viable solution. I really hope they can slow down the progression of the timeline or something. Doing that is very hard when you have a large number of writers working on the same project. Maybe they should focus on filling up the blanks or something like that. Riot is working on an mmorpg. Obviously it's not gonna come out for at least another 4 years, but an MMO will likely have a similar effect to the Runeterra timeline as what WoW had on the Warcraft timeline. WoW lore eventually started feeling like there's a new apocalyptic threat every Friday. The terrible writing of the jailer is probably the most obvious symptom of this. They ran out of old villains they could just recycle, so they had to make a new big bad guy that wants to destroy the world again, but bigger! He was a demand with an attached deadline that was turned into a character, not an inspired idea first. There are obviously many more reasons the WoW community hates this guy, like the fact that they retcon stuff to make him the mastermind behind everything ever. Honestly, I'm not sure what they should do with the MMO. The way events are shared between different Riot games is really cool, but I feel like an MMO should be outside of this entirely. The way the lore progresses now is one event per year, maybe a bit more, a few stories, something like that. But for an MMO, you need content every few months or people would just abandon the game, so it's gonna be way faster than what we have. And I don't think that should be attached to the other games like they are to each other now. Maybe it should take place in the long past like Elder Scrolls Online does. That would also help minimize the number of things they would have to work around, like the location of champions. Obviously, you don't have to know the location of a champion that hasn't even been born yet. Things like that. Honestly, after the ruination, I would ditch the lore event things entirely. Everyone knows that it was a failure, from the casual that doesn't even know about lore to the writers themselves, so yeah. The Ruin King game did everything way better, and honestly, if that and the cinematics were the Ruination event, it wouldn't have been a failure. I suppose that upcoming Void Empress event may change my opinions, but we'll see about that. So yeah, I'm done rambling. Thank you for watching. Bye.